Why do you think people are scared to ask for the check?
Yeah, I think most people are scared to ask for the check or talk about money because most of their model of the world and their beliefs were cultivated between 0 and 7 years old when your brain was in theta state. And when you were a little boy or a little girl, you heard we can't afford that and money doesn't grow on trees and rich people are evil and they probably screwed someone over for that Lamborghini. And so at a little boy or little girl, you believed that money was hard to make.
Yep.
You believed that you couldn't afford it. Or in my household in specific, money was a hush-hush topic.
Yep.
We don't talk about money. Don't let anyone know how much money you have or how little money you have, right? And so then money becomes taboo. And I love why the mission of this podcast is to make it a common conversation, right? And so oftentimes your relationship with money isn't yours. It got thrown onto you. You picked it up along the way. It's not yours. And so I tell people most of your elevation in personal development is going to be coming from unlearning the BS that you've been taught by the Matrix and by the world and by your parents.
Always strive to get on top in life because the bottom is overcrowded. I believe if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. It's easy to fit in and do what everyone else is doing. Our coworkers show up late, so we show up late. It's normal, it's common. But God did not create you to be common. You were created to be uncommon, to do what others are willing to do, to believe for things that other things are too big. Everyone at work may be complaining, that's common, but that's not true. Instead of joining in, you find something to be grateful for. Why? Because you're uncommon.
I'm a big believer that you can only lead people as far as you're willing to be led. You can also only heal people as deep as you can heal yourself. And so I think one of the greatest ways that you can turn around and condense time for other people is on your own journey. And so for me, I think it's very similar to a lot of human beings, whether they have all their legs and all their arms, as I struggle with confidence, I struggle with depression or feeling suicidal or not being able to fit in, self-worth, all these different things. And so I feel like whatever path that you've walked, life has already qualified you to turn around and condense time for others. And I think oftentimes there's a misconception of leading and coaching others. You think you have to be like a million steps ahead to be an authority, when in reality you just need to be a few steps or a few hops in front of someone in order to turn around and condense time for them. And so I think if people want to understand who they can serve and how they can make an impact and how they can make income, that your who is you a few years ago, right? So where were you 5 years ago? Where were you 3 years ago? What were you struggling with? What was the path that you walked? What were the things that you had to overcome? And because you went through those things, you can turn around and then help people get there from A to Z very quickly. And so I think everybody needs a little baby Yoda in their life, because when you're in the game, you can only see what you can see and you can only hear what you can hear. So you need a little baby Yoda flying 30,000 feet above the air so they can see things that you can't. Because I think we can all agree in life and in business, one of the first things that I look for is proof of concept. My first yes, my first like, my first engagement, because if I can do it once, I can do it a million times. Oh yeah, that's a great question. I'll start off with this. You'll never make more than you think you're worth. And for a lot of us that are successful, a lot of our success and what we built comes from trying to fill a void of love me. Am I enough? Right? Can you accept me? Am I good enough in the world? And so I love this answer because Wes was talking about it. Perception is projection. However you perceive yourself, you're going to project into the world. And so you should know 50 times more than anyone can ever ask you in the moment. You should never be able to run out of content. And if you never run out of content and answers, you will always be positioned as the expert in the authority. And because you're the expert in the authority, people will pay you as much money as you want. Oftentimes, imposter syndrome is you not being competent enough. You don't know enough about your subject, so you feel like a fraud, and you don't want someone to ask you a question that you don't have the answer for. And so if you want to start coaching and if you want to start getting paid, go really deep on a specific subject where no one can out-debate you and no one can out-talk you in that. That's a great question. I think a few things. The first thing is dropping your ego and realizing you only know what you know. One of the biggest wealth traps that you can fall into is the know-it-all syndrome. And the moment you think you've mastered something is the very belief that's holding you back from the next level of life. And so the lesson behind that one is to give without any expectation. I think oftentimes people fall into we were talking about it, very transactional relationships, and it's very like tit for tat, like you do this and I do that and it's got to be even. But I think the person that really invests in people and gives the most value wins in the end and builds meaningful relationships. But also the lesson of getting in the room, which Dan did a great job of talking about that in the event that we were at today, is like you got to pay to get in rooms, and you got to get in rooms that are richer and smarter than you, because they're going to allow you to condense time, but you're one handshake away, one piece of information away from changing the trajectory of your life. And talking about the law of exposure, once you're exposed, you cannot be unexposed. So the truth is, the only reason why most people aren't successful is because they didn't have the right support system, they didn't have the right stages, and they weren't exposed to the information. They never knew it. You only know what you know. And so I would say get in the room, give without any expectation, and be a student of the game and learn as much as you can. The moment you make a celebrity just feel like a regular human being, they start to mess with you. I think people should invest in themselves because it's the one thing that the government can't take from you.
There you go. Make that a clip.
They can take your house. I'm saying the world, Matrix, whatever you want to call it. They can take your house, they can take your family, they can take your cars, they can take your business, but they can't take the knowledge that you have inside your brain. And so it's an invaluable investment, and you will always hold that knowledge. And you can always rebuild as long as you have the knowledge. Most people can't build because they don't have the knowledge. And so it's information that will go with you for the rest of your life. But also, the more that you invest in yourself, you start to step into the identity of someone who values themselves, someone who pays for information, someone who's only focused on the ROI and not what they have to invest initially. And that goes a long way. And so not only is the investment for the coach, I get the money's great, right? But also for you investing, you're gonna retain more information, but also you're gonna step into the identity of someone who pays to be a big player. And when you pay to be a big player, you get in big rooms, you have big conversations, and you get big networks. And so I think oftentimes one of the greatest things that's holding people back from the next level of life is their self, but also it's their identity. And so if you want to do things that are going to expand your identity, get a little bit uncomfortable, pay to get in rooms, and upgrade your habits and rituals. And one of them should be investing in yourself. And necessarily, you don't even need money these days to invest in yourself. I mean, now we have a computer in our pocket. Then you can go on Google and you learn some amazing things. And so I'll give the audience one of the greatest habits that changed my life and elevated my identity was taking at least 30 to 45 minutes every single day to acquire a new skill or to expand on a skill that I already have. Because competence breeds confidence. And if I'm confident, I can make as much money as I want in the world, and I can transfer that confidence to my students, and they can make as much money as they want.
Young people, you just have to understand it takes a long time to make a lot of money, but there is joy in the process too. You have to be grateful when you're making 50,000. You have to be grateful at 80,000. So often our mind is either in the past, focus on what didn't work out, mistake we've made, or is in the future, worried about our finances. What if my health doesn't improve? The problem with being in the past or being in the future is you will miss the present. Today is a gift from God. Are you fully engaged, loving your family, appreciating the simple things in life, or are you in yesterday? The reason some relationships are not healthy is because you came home from work but you didn't really show up. Your mind was somebody else. Are you into the office? Your body was there but your mind was in yesterday, thinking about what you should have done better. If you're going to be fulfilled, you have to be there when you get there, not show up and be in the past, living in regrets, coming into today. Yes, it's good to have goals, but you can't be so focused on what's next that you miss what you have right now. I know some people that have lost what they had going after what they wanted. You can miss who your spouse is, all the great things about them, because you're so consumed with your business, how you're going to fix that problem. But the people in your life are not always going to be there. Don't take them for granted. When you're with your family, give them your time. Life goes on so fast. At home, you're present. You eat dinner with your family, but you're connected. Are you making the most of that moment, or are you into tomorrow, worried about your business, wondering how the finances are going to work out? Are you in yesterday, bitter over who hurted you, thinking about what they have said? You're missing the beauty of this day. Enjoy where you are. Take the time for the people God has given you. The problem will resolve in God's timing. Worrying about them doesn't make it work out any sooner. The people in your life can bring you great joy, great fulfillment. When you're present and connected, life is very rewarding. Are you taking time to laugh together, do new thing? How many people are in the house but they are not really at home? Sometimes the reason we're not connected, I've realized it is the past failure, what they've said, how they treated us. As long as you're in the past, you will stay disconnected. This is a new day. God's mercy is fresh every morning, coming into the present. Life is too short to hold on to her. Focus on what they did wrong. Give that person room to be human.
And so the first thing that you need to do, and again, Wes said, is like be very judgmental. Like, is the person that I'm listening to have the life and have the results that I want? If they don't, I deflect it. Because the truth is, most of you are trying to get business advice from your mom who's never built a business, or grandma who's never taken any financial risk, or she didn't know how. And so the first things first is like, does this person have the life and the results that I want? And the second thing is, do I align with their core values? Do I align with their beliefs? Do I align with the way that they do business? Do they have integrity? Are they meaningful? Are they in their heart? Right? And so those are the things that I look for. And the moment that my core values and my beliefs and the way that I view the world and my impact aligns with that person, I'll pay whatever it is to get in their presence. I mean, Dan knows, I'll text you, like, I was like, bro, I will meet you anywhere in the world, wherever you are, because I know the proximity to Dan is just invaluable. It allows me to condense time. I've learned so much from you. So that's what I would say is, make sure people have the life and the results that you want, so you can pay them so they can condense time.
Like, you gotta really want what you're doing, and sometimes
And so I think the first thing is getting the lay of the land and really understanding who your target audience is, who you're serving. And then I think the other thing is find other people that have similar products. You know, you were giving me price points on recurring models and everything because you've done it. And so find people who've already had this ascension ladder of digital products and see what price points work, because they've already been tested. Like, you're a smart person, you've already tested price points. Yeah, I think most people are scared to ask for the check or talk about money because most of their model of the world and their beliefs were cultivated between 0 and 7 years old, when your brain was in theta state. And when you were a little boy or a little girl, you heard, we can't afford that, and money doesn't grow on trees, and rich people are evil, and they probably screwed someone over for that Lamborghini. And so at a little boy, a little girl, you believed that money was hard to make.
Yep.
You believed that you couldn't afford it. You picked it up along the way. It's not yours. And so I tell people, most of your elevation in personal development is going to be coming from unlearning the BS that you've been taught by the Matrix and by the world and by your parents. And in no way, shape, or form am I throwing stones at those who raised you, because the truth is, our parents did the best they could with what they knew in their conditioning, right? And so that's why people are scared to ask for the money, or scared to ask for the check, because they have a specific relationship with money and they never challenged it, or growing up, they never had evidence that money was an important thing, because no one in their family's ever made money. And so the truth is, oftentimes people just don't have a standard. The standard hasn't been set, or the standard is very average, or it's below average, which it's all around you. And so they don't know. They only know what they know. And so there's two things that every single human being needs to do in order to live a fulfilled life. The first one is growth. You're either growing or you're dying. And the second one is contribution. And I think that with money, the reason why we make so much money, we want to make so much money, is so we can give it back and do amazing things in the world.
Always strive to get on top in life, because the bottom is overcrowded. I believe if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. It's easy to fit in and do what everyone else is doing. Our coworkers show up late, so we